Hi everyone, and welcome back to the White Noise podcast. Today we are very excited because we are talking about Scream 5. We did do an episode on the entire Scream franchise back in October where we had Ryan from Silver Screen Unseen join us. And today we thought it was only right to have another very lovely special guest in the form of Kieran Potter. Hi Kieran.
Hi guys.
So I'm guessing, this is your first podcast appearance, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Don't be nervous, because if you do get nervous, you can always do what I'm about to do and just throw things over to Liana, so the pressure's on her. So, Liana, there you go.
Classic move, that.
Yeah.
I think maybe a good way to start this off is to just out of the gate say, did we enjoy this film?
Yes.
Yes, Kieran?
Mm-hmm.
I did, yes.
Okay, I'm glad we're all in agreement, because I've been trying to avoid stuff online, but I have been seeing a bit of most people have enjoyed it, but I have seen the odd mixed reaction.
See, I haven't.
Have you not?
No, so me and Kieran actually went to see it together, which was really nice. And we both, well, actually, I was about to say we both tried to avoid spoilers. Kieran isn't someone who likes to try and avoid spoilers. But
I think try my best.
I think you did kind of okay with this one. But so when we came out of the cinema, I just started looking stuff up, and it surprised me how many people liked it. We talked about back in October how we thought things were going to go, and I said that I actually thought maybe people wouldn't like it, but then maybe after thinking about it for a bit they would like it a bit more. But no, long-time fans, new fans, everybody seemed to really enjoy it.
It's really refreshing, isn't it? It's nice to see people actually enjoy a new entry into something, because I feel like anytime something comes out which is a late entry, everyone hates it. Like you say, back in October we were just convinced we were gonna not enjoy it. We'd be happy to see the characters come back, but nothing more than that. But what did you guys enjoy about it? Kieran, what did you like about it?
I think it was quite similar to Scream 4, which is one of my favourites. I don't know, Sky kind of gave me the rundown of your rating, your ranking, and I was like, I don't know if we disagree on some of them. Yeah, it was more like Scream 4, and it was also kind of one of the criticisms I had was people thought it was too similar to Scream 4, the reveal at the end and kind of the motive. A lot of people said it was too similar, which I didn't see at all. I didn't think it was.
I don't know, I'm mixed on that. I mean, I definitely felt a bit of deja vu about it. It's back in Woodsboro again. Woodsboro. And, it's the new teenagers are the killers again. So I definitely felt a bit of an echo of that. But instead of thinking, oh, they've just copied it, it felt more like what I would have wanted Scream 4 to be. If they were going to go back to Woodsboro, that's what I would have wanted it to.
Yeah, because isn't Scream 4 your least favourite?
Oh, yeah. I am a notorious Scream 4 hater. And honestly, I thought everyone hated it until very recently.
One of the reasons I thought it'd be a good idea to bring Kieran on today is because you can't attack me when I say this, but when we initially spoke about the Scream franchise, I had only seen the first one. So I was quite timid in giving my views on it, because I was like, I can't really judge things without having actually seen the full thing. So I sat back a bit and let you and Ryan do your thing. Now I have seen them all, and please don't hate me, Scream 4 is one of my favorites.
Really?
I thought it was great. I do think the ending was terrible. However, we can maybe get into this a bit more later. Apart from maybe the first one, I don't really think the endings of any of the Scream films are particularly great. I think they're super bad, but none of them have made me, not that they're meant to, but none of them have made me go, oh my god, maybe something like the Saw films did. But I really like the campy meta-ness of it. And yeah, so I did really like Scream 4, but I agree that the ending was probably the worst, and I didn't like the ending of Scream 5. Thought it was quite similar in that way as well.
Yes. So if we're talking about, say, we'll come back to Scream 4 a bit, but say to go back on track of it, if we're talking about the ending of Scream 5, right? Did everyone guess it?
I didn't try.
You didn't get any vibes from the get-go?
Amber was sus to me.
Yeah.
They focus on fandom. That surprised me. But then when I thought about it, I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense. It's it's meta, but it was very on the nose. That was very
a bit too much on the nose for you, did you think?
Just when they were at the end, what's his name? Richie? Is he called Richie?
Yeah.
When he was talking about how they want to make more content for these films, and it's obviously about toxic fandom and how like we said just a minute ago, like the new entry, they have to prove themselves. They have a lot to prove.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of that is like the fans are never going to be happy. I liked what they were doing, but it was very like, it wasn't subtle in any kind of way.
Yeah.
I have seen some people say that like they thought it was a bit too meta. It was weird because I actually remember, Liana, you saying, and when we talked about like theories and stuff before, that you'd read somewhere that Scream 5 wasn't going to be as meta as the others.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about that, because I remember there was an interview a while back, and I think it was with the screenwriters or someone producers. I can't remember. I will try and find it and post it on our Twitter or something. But it definitely was said that the film wasn't going to be meta. So, and I thought that meant, oh, okay, so to go against the Scream norms, they wouldn't be meta, because that had become the norm for Scream now, hadn't it? I would have liked that, but then I like the meta-ness of Scream. And while you can say that Scream 5 was a bit too much, that was also an argument for the first film when it came out. So maybe in years to come, when we're not right in the middle of like fandom wars, it will feel less like forced and less like on the nose, as you say. I like the idea of going into it, but it felt a little bit late to the conversation, which like that is always going to happen, because even though the conversation's happening, you've then got to write a script and make the film and put it out. I don't know, talking about like fans expecting too much, that felt way more of like the Tumblr era than it does today. But I don't know if that's just me, maybe.
I think one of the reasons I enjoyed it so much is because I did love that it like went maybe even I mean, some people say too far in the meta-ness. I thought it was great. I mean, I know this isn't unique at all, but one of the reasons I did end up really loving all the Scream films once I watched them is because everyone did get a bit more ridiculous and a bit more meta, and in all honesty, I loved that. I would love it to go more and crazier and stupid. That's just me, you know. I'm the person who actually generally really enjoys probably all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, because I love that they get stupider and stupider, because it's hard to make a good horror film these days. It really is. So if I can't have that, then give me something that's the complete opposite, but done intentionally.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's definitely what Wes Craven would do, because you look at New Nightmare, and that itself was meta. So this felt like really true to his memory, that it would go completely that end, like, and not be so silly in a way. Because don't get me wrong, like I say, like all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, they got really silly. But in Wes Craven style, I think he would go a little bit, but he wouldn't go crazy. He'd focus more on the meta, if you get what I mean. So he came. It
always seemed intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think in this one, while it was a bit outlandish, it seemed intentional. So it felt true to his spirit. But I think he would have loved this.
Something that surprised me, like initially when we came out of the cinema, and this is why I like that we do these kind of podcast episodes a little bit afterwards, so we can sit on things for a bit and think about it. Because when we initially came out, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, Kieran, I'm sure you said you didn't actually like the opening, which is like where we disagreed a little bit, because I really, really liked the opening. You could have, maybe you've changed your mind now, I don't know. But like, I really loved how obviously, I mean, the entire film was meant to be like a proper homage to like the first one. I loved the parallels in it. I loved how it really fit the modern day, because that was one of the things I was most interested in seeing in this, is how they were going to fit in a lot of stuff. Because like obviously when like the first film came out, I can't remember what the statistic was, but like it really increased like the use of caller ID and stuff like that. So it had like that kind of real world effect. So I was interested to see how the real world was then going to affect the storyline of the film that so many people had come to love. But yeah, so do you still feel the same way about the beginning?
I still feel the same in the way that like I didn't really like. No, okay. It's not I didn't like it. This is one of my favorite Scream films. Just to clarify that. But Samantha, I just didn't really like. Some things about her I didn't like. So I really liked the opening scene. I liked Tara, and I liked the fact that she didn't die.
Yeah, I liked that,
because that's like that was a first, and it was like new and fresh. So I liked that. But then after that, it kind of, I wasn't sure what was happening, and then I think I said this after, when it got to like the third act, it felt really fast, because kind of like the first chunk felt, obviously there's new characters and there's exposition, but it has grown on me. And I did want to go see it again last night, actually, but I didn't. I wish I had.
No, so did you have an issue with the pacing of this one?
I think so. I don't know whether it's because I really wanted to see like the legacy characters, and they didn't have as big a role as I thought they were going to have.
Yeah.
But I think once Dewey showed up properly, and then when Gail came in, that kind of when it started for me properly. apart from the first scene.
See, I kind of liked that they chose to really hone in on the new characters, because like, this is what I don't like about Scream 4 is I just found the teenagers in that one so unlikable. I literally couldn't stand them. I was like, I would have hated you in school. And I actually liked the teenagers in this one. Like, they just had a bit more, like, I think they cast people with actually a bit more charisma and felt like they would actually be friends in real life. And they actually had, you know, like a dynamic in their friendship group. You know, there were siblings and there was the girlfriend that no one likes and stuff. And I actually enjoyed spending time with that group in this one, which I think maybe that's where we differ, because I found like the first half of the film quite fast, honestly, in comparison to the last. I felt like that was dragging a little bit, but then maybe because it was so similar to the first one, so it almost felt like I've seen this before. But I don't know, what about you, Sky?
Well, just you bringing up like the dynamics, I will agree. As much as I do really like Scream 4, and like maybe because I didn't get to rank them last time, maybe I can do my ranking in a bit, but like I do feel like Scream 4 and 3 could be flipped quite a bit for me. As of this recording, I have only seen all of the Scream films once, so all of my views and everything are based on one viewing, and I know that can definitely change when you watch stuff again. But yeah, you just bringing up the dynamics of the relationships between the characters, they were definitely a lot more fleshed out and better than the fourth one. Like, as a film, the fourth one, why people don't like it, I just really enjoyed it entertainment wise. But the thing that got me, and I don't know if maybe watching Scream 5 again would help, but figuring out and remembering who was related to who and who they descended from threw me off. Like, maybe this is why I just gave up. Like, I realize it's probably not that complicated, but watching it the first time, and like because every single Scream film was meant to be like a whodunit kind of situation, because part of me was trying to focus on figuring out who the killer was, because I love stuff like that. I love figuring it out. But then because that also got thrown into it, I was trying to remember who was related to who, how that could influence what was going on. Because, you know, obviously if you wanted to go super obvious, then they would have made the killer Sam, because of obviously who her dad is. And I've just realised that there are going to be obviously mega spoilers for Scream 5 if you haven't seen it. But at this point, if you're listening to anything to do with the film, you're going to come across spoilers.
Yeah, it's your own fault.
But because of who Sam's dad is, I was like, oh, you know, that is obviously too obvious. But I couldn't push my head past thinking who else it could be, because I was like trying to focus on other things.
See,
when they got revealed, I wasn't super shocked. I was like, oh, okay. But I wasn't.
People have said this, like, oh, it wasn't surprising enough. It's like, did we watch the same first film? Because when you watch the original Scream, you know from minute one they're the killers, and the whole point isn't meant to be, oh, it's a surprise. The whole point is, oh, it's obvious, but the reason why is what's interesting. So like everyone's saying, oh, it was too obvious who it was. I've not really understood that argument with Scream 5. Like,
I can't have an opinion on that, because, you know, even though I hadn't properly seen Scream, the first one, until like literally last year, I had seen parts of it and I knew who the killers were. So I can't say for sure, but that's a really interesting point. So Kieran, when you watched the first Scream film, did you know?
I think because of Scary Movie, I knew it was the boyfriend.
Also,
But I think the point of it is, well, for me, it's the whole red herring thing. Like, oh, it's obviously them, so it can't be them. And then kind of flipping that on its head, and it was them the whole time. Because I don't know, Scream 1, who did they try and...
The dad, wasn't
like
it?
her dad, her dad. Yeah, basically everyone's a red herring, aren't they, really?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what they did in this new one as well. Like, they really let into the fact.
Yeah, I thought Amber, they were going to be like, oh, it's Amber, and then it not be Amber, and then it was Amber. So I did like that. That was fun.
Until like they went down into the basement.
Yeah.
And they had that exchange between is her name Mindy?
Yes.
Yeah, and Amber. I thought it was Amber up until that point, and I was like, oh, it can't be her now.
I was kind of the same. It puts your guard down a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I thought everything in that house was brilliant. Like all those scenes, and especially.
Did we realize it was the house? Like right at the beginning? No. I'm asking, did everyone realize?
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure they say it, don't they?
And they say it later on. They realize later.
I don't know if like, because obviously when you watch stuff for the first time, you don't always pick up on everything. But like, not that I'm saying I was like, oh, I was clever and realized it. That's not what I mean. But I mean, the bit where I realized was really weird, when Mindy was like sat on the sofa, and obviously it was mirrored in a really similar way to when Randy was, and I was like, oh, they're in the house. And I was just like,
for me, it was when they went in the basement. I was like,
Well, to be fair, I did think that at first, but then I was like, oh no, all
Just a
American
homage,
houses have basements.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've imagined this in my head, but the girlfriend, Olivia Liv, when she went down and she was being chased, didn't she get stuck in the garage door?
Yeah.
So that was like, oh, like, because obviously that happened
like Tatum,
the first film. So I kind of noticed those throwbacks, homages, and then obviously when they panned out and Sydney's in the house. I think that's when I realized
like,
properly.
Shot.
Yeah, because I got confused because obviously they talk about the relations of everyone, but is it Amber's house they're in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because she
said she got obsessed after living in the house.
Yeah. Because like she wasn't obviously. Well, actually, this kind of brings on to another point that I haven't seen anybody talk about, and I don't know if maybe I'm just being too sensitive, but obviously, Amber lived there with her parents because she was in high school. So I just thought it was interesting how she got obsessed after she moved in, and it wasn't like her influence that moved them in there.
Yeah, see, I needed to hear some context here. Like, did she move into the town not that long ago, and that was why her parents bought the house because they didn't know the history of the house, or they got a really, like, if there'd been some passing comment of like, oh, Amber moved here like 2 years ago because her parents could get a cheap house here, something like that would explain like why someone would buy that house. And like she you wouldn't like grow up somewhere and not know about it until you know what I mean. There needed to be like a throwaway line somewhere to explain,
just a little sentence to tie it in.
Exactly.
But one of the points I was going to bring up that isn't actually related to this, I just needed to talk about it with somebody, is obviously Amber and Richie were in a relationship, right? What was the fucking age difference between those two?
Can we talk about it? I come out the cinema, I turn to my sister and her boyfriend and I say, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this well on podcast, but it's our podcast. I literally turn to them, I meet a bit of a nonce. Why was it not mentioned? Like, I was literally waiting for a character to go, oh, you can only find a girlfriend on online forums or something like that. Like, you only date underage girls or something.
During the reveal, and like, because obviously, you know, in that bit of the film, everybody should be like, oh my god, like they're the killers. And I turned to Kieran, I was literally like, what's the age gap between those two?
That was me
Why
too,
is he dating a high schooler?
Yeah.
Like, even if she's like, I would literally, then I got distracted as well because I was trying to do the math. Like, I was trying to figure out the age difference between Tara and Sam, and then figure out what maybe the age gap could be between Amber and. But literally, the way I saw it is that he had to be in like the youngest.
It's like 25 at least.
I was going to say the youngest is early 20s, and she could be the oldest of 18.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, mate,
this
what?
is the thing that, like, you can do that as long as you call attention to how bizarre and weird it is. And because they were talking about how they met in forums and online and talking about films, I thought they were going to make a comment. And for all we know, I mean, it's in the script or they cut something, but it just doesn't feel right that was.
I think you're so right though. Like, it feels like they should have, in a weird way, it feels like it was done intentionally. So you're right. Why didn't they? Because that would have been, I mean, I still wouldn't have liked it, but it would have been a funny joke to add in, like you said, especially talking about like toxic fandom.
Yes, but then I had a feeling that maybe they were trying to call attention to that without fully doing it because people would go nuts online if they made some kind of crack that people that live online and only talk about films go for like like there would have been backlash. So I kind of see why they didn't go
but then again, all of these films hit home the idea, whether you believe it or not, but the idea that like films can create killers. So it's like, you know, these two characters were meant to be like fans anyway. It was meant to be like the worst betrayal of fans. So I feel like they were already kind of dipping their toe into that section.
Yeah, I agree.
So like why they didn't.
But then there's one line between portraying them as killers and then saying this guy's a proper creep. Because weirdly, you know which people would react worse to. You just know. But yeah, I found it really interesting. Just all the commentary on like film in general. Like, I loved when they brought up elevated horror, because I don't know about you two, I actually hate the term elevated horror because to me, horror is horror. Just because they suddenly added a message doesn't mean it's any better, you know what I mean? So I loved that bit in the opening scene when she was explaining elevated horror and he's just on the phone like, sounds boring. It's amazing.
I said to Kieran, I was like, to be honest, that whole scene, especially when they said elevated horror, but like when they were in the living room and they were talking about like the meta nurse and you know, recalls and stuff like that, I was like, I really wish Leanna was here because I need to see her face right now, because I'm like, I know how she was going to react. I was like, she's in this room.
It was great. It was really funny because it felt weirdly like it was my pen. Like I was like in that
it
script
really
room.
did.
But I kind of really loved that they like explained elevated horror, but then didn't say it was any better or any worse. They were just like, it's another thing, you know. And they brought up like new horror, like the Babadook and such. And you know, she goes on this spiel about like motherhood and stuff. And it was so relevant to like what modern horror fans are now. And I enjoyed that. And then it made so much more sense in the end when they're like, oh, we love slashers, we like the original Stab, blah blah blah. It made sense for them to be like, that's boring. Like we want to go back to the original stuff. And it all tied together really nicely. But yeah, it was great. Enjoyed that. The whole opening scene in general, I thought was fantastic. Like I thought it was like probably my second favorite opening scene.
That's also where I mean, Kieran had kind of told me before, and like he promised me it wasn't a spoiler, and it wasn't. But I think one thing, I'm sure it was you, Kieran, that told me that this film was going to be more gruesome and horror like than the other ones had been. And from like that first scene is when I was like, fuck. Like as soon as he like breaks her leg, I was like,
because you've never seen that before, have we? Like in a Scream film, it's always been stabbing, hasn't it? Yeah.
How did we feel about that? Like the added proper horror
I
element
enjoyed
to
it. I actually did, because I don't necessarily want to sit through it, but then I was like, this definitely sets it apart from the other films in a good way. What about you two? Did you like it?
I did. I thought it was good. It brought it more into like the modern day.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I also kind of like the whole, I don't know how some people feel about this. Not every character died. And we already said we really liked Tara surviving. Like that was cool, yeah. But I also like other characters not dying later on, because at the end of the day, like a stab in your side doesn't necessarily equal a death sentence, does it? Like I enjoyed that some people like, yeah, they're in like absolutely terrible shape, but they're not actually dead. I feel like it was a bit more accurate to what would actually go down, because like when Dewey got stabbed in this one, RIP, it wasn't like, you know, he just got like 2 stabs in the back or something. Like he went at him, didn't he? That was horrific. I was like,
that was one of the worst ones. How did we feel about Dewey's death?
He seemed like the most obvious one who was going to die.
Well, this is why I wanted to ask. Like, I think everybody kind of knew he was going to die. Like, if obviously you'd watched any of the previous films, or this is me speaking like I'm an expert now. Obviously, I'm not, but I'm not sure how I felt about him dying, because everyone, you know, they wanted it to be like this really honorable thing, because he was like such a loved character. Like he was wasn't he meant to die in like the original one, but they liked him so much that they decided to kill him. So for that reason, I couldn't decide if I liked it, because it was like, of all the characters you could have killed of the OGs, he was the most obvious one. Therefore, should he have been the one or the only one to die? Did it actually add anything to the film? I'm not so sure it did.
I see, it's funny because it felt I think it felt right. Everyone knew it was gonna I think when everyone knows something's gonna happen, it's pretty much because like, yeah, that's the solid choice. But that doesn't necessarily mean, like you say, that it adds too much. Like I felt like it did, because I felt it felt right, but then at the same time, like, why not Gail or someone, you know?
I think it added more because Gail and Dewey's relationship has been, like, even when we were watching them last week or the week before, Sky, you were like, oh, are they together in this film? Or are they not together? Because they kept going on and off, and that's kind of like the running thing. So I think it kind of made sense for her to come back and for him to still be kind of in love with her and watching her on TV, and then they see each other for like a minute or two in like the hospital, like car park or the crime scene or whatever it is, Judy. And then like he goes, because he just jumps in the car with Sam to go to the hospital. And then like that's the last thing. And like she wasn't as funny in this one. And I've seen like people talk about how Gail wasn't as sassy or she didn't have as many one-liners. But I think it was because she was actually like, the character was grieving like the whole time. And it was a bit more, so it is a sadder.
I think that was a given as well. Like people want these characters to be the exact same as in the first one, but like in the world, it's been decades since that, and they've been through so much. And it's like, if this is the 5th time round that they go through these killings, they're not going to be like funny and sassy.
Exactly. So they've been through so much, and this is why the more I talk about it, the more I'm actually not sure if I actually really agreed with Dewey's death or not. Gail would have been going through mourning and stuff like that, so that's why she was a bit more subdued. But when we return to these characters, Sydney had a family. She had a husband and kids. So she, even though obviously she was still dealing with stuff, she was starting to move on. Gail had her show. She was becoming more successful again. Dewey got nothing.
I felt the exact same when we saw him in that trailer park. I thought that was bullshit.
Yeah, this film has done Dewey dirty.
I agree.
And I don't know if I could forgive that, because then even his death was kind of ridiculous. Like, he died in, it wasn't, I don't know if they were meant to be setting up as like this big heroic thing, but it didn't feel that way to me.
No, not at all.
It felt like he had grown so much as this character, and then all of a sudden he was just put right back to even worse than he was in the beginning.
I'm not sure how you feel about this, but also out of the big three legacy characters standing, like, he had the least to do with it, because Gale was the one that was like writing all these books and basically like kickstarted the Stab franchise. Sydney was the one who was directly related to the woman who, like, you know, her death started all this. It's like, what did Dewey actually have to do with much of it? He was just
his sister got killed.
Yeah, no, but I mean, as in, he didn't actually kickstart any events. Or like
he didn't,
you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
I get that, but it's funny you say that, because me and Kieran were talking about this, I think after maybe we watched the fourth one or something, because it's thanks to Kieran I've actually been able to watch all of these. But like, we talked about how, like, you know, in like the fifth one, Gale, I don't know if it's the fifth or the fourth one, but she talks to Dewey about how, like, she's helped catch the killers before, and me and Kieran were both like, has she? Has she really? Like,
she's been there.
Yeah, she's been there.
And she like comes back and she shoots, or you think she's dead and she's not dead.
But it's not helping catch, is it? Because it's not like she's a fucking like investigating it. She's just.
But exactly, that's my point.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you could argue in Scream 3 potentially, because, you know, like when she's walking around with the woman who was playing her with Jennifer, and that, you know, they go into the archives and they're like investigating everything. But other than that, she's just been there when shit goes down, really, in the final scene. But who is your favorite out of the three?
I'm gonna have to think. Kieran, you can go first.
Probably Gale. I like if they had killed off Sydney, I would just be like, nah, it's a no from me, just because it wouldn't feel right to me.
I think I agree, Gale, just because she's like I don't know, I enjoyed her arc more than anyone else. You know how, like, she genuinely felt remorse in this one. She's like, I'm not gonna report on it, I'm not gonna say their names. Anything like that, like the killers, I enjoyed that.
But I like how she didn't completely lose who she was. Like, they didn't suddenly make her this character with like a conscience. Like, she was like, you know, I still want to be the next big thing. And like, it almost kind of made even more sense in this one, because she didn't have Dewey, she didn't really have anybody. So like, what else was she gonna do other than push forward her career? Like, it makes sense.
I want to know how you feel about this as well, Kieran. But Sky, we've mentioned in previous episodes, our true crime ones, about you know, like elevating killers and, you know, stuff like that. How did you feel about that in the end, when Gale said she wouldn't name anyone, she wouldn't write a book about it? That felt very much of this era.
I didn't even think about that, like, when we were watching it, but it's interesting that you bring it up. I wonder if that was like a conscious decision they made, because like you said, so many discussions are going on now about the influence that horror is having, and like the portrayal of serial killers and stuff like that. But yeah, what about you, Karen? What do you think?
I forgot the question.
I'll repeat it. So basically, sorry, I don't know if you noticed, but like towards the end, when Sydney said to Gale, like, oh, will you write another book about this? And Gale replied like, oh no, I'll let these fuckers die in obscurity, I'll write a book about Dewey. How did you feel about that?
I liked it, but I don't know whether it fit as well with their motives in this film as it did. I hate to go back to Scream 4, but the whole point of Jill's motive was like, she wanted to be famous and she wanted to be the survivor. So I get what obviously Gail was saying, because she wants to talk about Dewey, and that's obviously the arc. Was that their motive? Did they want to be famous?
Yeah, they literally wanted they wanted to be like with I can't remember her, I'm pretty sure you just said it, but I can't remember her name, but like in Scream 4 with Emma Roberts, that's it.
Emma Roberts.
she wanted to be she wanted to be the survivor, whereas in this one it was a bit different, because they wanted to actually no, hold on, were they gonna do the same thing? Am I being stupid?
I think they wanted more content. They wanted the films to have...
It was a bit blurry, honestly, wasn't it?
I think that's why people were like critiquing it, because they were like, is it Scream 4? And to me, it wasn't. Maybe I didn't I missed a bit because I don't know. I was looking for
Yeah.
the best in it.
Mhm.
But to me, it was they wanted to make a story to make the films better, which is obviously so dumb.
Oh yeah, they wanted to like make the film. They wanted to inspire
Oh,
a new
because
stab film like the
the
original.
films have been
didn't
getting
they?
worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I remember now. Yeah, that was a really fucking stupid motive. But then, to be fair, has any killer had a good motive after the first one?
I kind of like the
Revenge.
second one in that it's a homage to Friday the 13th. Honestly,
Yeah.
you killed my son, Mickey.
Mm.
That's fucking hilarious. Like, he's just a psycho. But then I like that they just straight up say that, where she's like, I was on the dark web and I just found an active serial killer and he helped me out. It's like, cool. But also, when people say Scream 2, they're not a fan of the ending. This is a funny Easter egg I found out literally the other day. So it got leaked early. So that was actually a changed ending. So when a lot of people say, it feels weird, it feels tagged on, it's like, well, yeah, because
what was the original ending?
I don't know, honestly.
Was it
I could
better?
do an
Because
easy
I will
Google.
admit, I did. Scream 2 is my least favorite. Leanna, do not kill
Really?
me. It was my least favorite.
Oh.
Do you know what was really funny? So in our October episode when we were talking about the Scream franchise, I shared a story that Kieran might not know, so I'll repeat it slightly now. But when I was about 13, I went on a holiday to America with my family. And for the life of me, I can't remember why, but me and my dad decided to go for a walk. And on that walk, he decided to explain the plot point of every single Saw film to me. I'd never seen them, but he decided to bring them up and talk about it. So when I actually went to see the films, for some reason I didn't remember anything he had said. So luckily they weren't spoiled. And weirdly, it almost kind of happened with Scream as well. Like I was calling out my bad memory then. I'm doing it again because as me and Kieran were watching them, I was saying to him, I was like, I actually don't know if I remember who the killers are in the films. Kind of as it was happening, I started to remember.
Yeah.
But Scream 2 was one of the ones where I was like, did I miss a load of stuff because this doesn't fucking make sense?
I like it as a reference, like I say, to Friday the 13th. That's fun. I think really, like we were saying earlier, like the killers don't necessarily matter as much as like the actual reason. I do think that's what the new one screwed up, because I liked that it was literally some guy that like sat on a forum and was like, I've got to take matters into my own hands. That was cool to me. But then he like seeked her out, didn't he? Like he purposely like made her his girlfriend and stuff. I think it would have been a bit more interesting if he knew her already, and then when he connected the dots, he purposefully went for her. Because why would he track her down? Like
putting it like that makes it even creepier to think about. Like I know this isn't the point of the films, but it sounds even creepier that like you said, he probably would have, I don't want to use the word, but he would have tracked her down lines, and then
it's
very
really
weird.
Bizarre. Yeah. Also, did anyone think Amanda was gay at first? Because I was convinced, like absolutely convinced. She was super protective over Tara.
Amanda? Who's Amanda?
She's the girl.
Amber.
Amber.
Oh, Amber. Oh,
so forget like, me already. But yeah,
she. Oh yeah, I got super queer vibes from her. That's what I thought maybe it was gonna be like.
I thought so too.
Did you think it was going to be her and the sister? Amber and Tara?
No, I thought it was going to be Amber. I thought the sister thing was a red herring from minute one. But I never really understood the stuff with the sister because it didn't amount to anything at all, really. Like she was seeing visions of Billy. Like that was probably my least favorite thing in the film, honestly.
I guess that was. Did you enjoy that he was in it though?
No, not
really.
I hated it. Literally, as soon as I saw his face, me and my sister turned to each other and went,
I didn't think it was that bad. I hated that they did it so much. I wish maybe they'd only done it once or twice.
Yeah. Like
the last time they did it with like I know it was meant to be like a callback to the first one, but when he was like in the mirror and he was like looking at like the floor, and I was like, oh god, this has gotten a lot worse.
Or like maybe even if he just hadn't spoken, I think that was maybe what made it a bit.
But him being in it as well, like that whole storyline of Sam seeing her dead father brought up like a really interesting point that I didn't think about too much, but Kieran brought it up afterwards about like the line of mental health and horror.
I wasn't a fan of what they were trying to do there.
Yeah.
What about you two?
Yeah, I thought this could be seen as being problematic, and I still haven't really come to my conclusion yet. But at first I was like, it just feels gross.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing they do. Like she's taking tablets and she's having a psychotic break. And when she got attacked in like the canteen of the hospital, I was like, is she imagining this? Like,
yeah, me too.
they kind of, I wasn't sure, and I guess that was part of them trying to make it out like she was the killer. But I was just like, this just doesn't seem tasteful.
I agree.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like it amounted to anything. I don't know if you two agree with that, but like, yeah, you saw that one moment of her taking pills, and then towards the end they were going on about her being the daughter, you know, and she was like stabbing shit tons. And like, what were they trying to insinuate there? Was that because A, she is Billy's daughter, or was it B, because she's mentally ill? Like, what were they trying to
That's what I didn't
there?
like.
Yeah.
And like, even the line when she said, don't fuck with like a serial killer's daughter, that is the worst written line ever. I hate that line. It does not flow. It does not work. Made me cringe. Yeah, and when she like kind of went into like this frenzy, I was like, this is not giving a good, I know it's a film, and I know it's horror, but it just didn't feel like, because then I thought there was going to be another twist where she goes like ham or something, or like she's part of it in some way, just because they were like, she was being so aggressive.
No, I agree.
To be fair, they still could, because this film really set up that there's now a whole new generation that they're definitely going to try and milk for profit. Don't think they should, but they're going to do it. So there is a chance that she still could go even further off the rails. But it was
people like the new teenagers as well. They could bring them back.
I hope they don't, because you know, like, I get like what Kerian was saying about how, you know, sometimes it's difficult because you think it's just a film, but like, this is why, you know, me and Leanna, we did like that whole 2-part episode on kind of like serial killers being portrayed, and kind of like, is there a way to do it that's slightly less problematic? And, you know, because the way it can influence people and the way it can change the way people think about stuff. I think a lot of people like listening to this might think we're just being, I don't know, oversensitive or whatever, but like, it's these kind of situations that like you don't think they mean anything, but then it's the subconscious way it influences you. Because then if you did ever hear or know of somebody who was suffering with a similar situation that she was going through, you might then be wary of them, and like, is that fair? Because, you know, you've been made to think this certain way. And I'm sure people didn't expect us to go into kind of like the steps with Scream 5, but it happens on White Noise. We can't help it.
And I mean, I don't know about you, I was kind of getting Riverdale vibes. The fact like it felt like, you know, later on in Riverdale, I was that whole the serial killer gene, Betty's gonna be a killer. She's inherited this rare gene. It was like, is that what they're trying to get at? Like, because she's a serial killer's daughter, she has like a thirst for blood. Like, it made no sense. It felt like very, like we're saying, poor taste. It kind of just added to this stigma that they did not need to at all. Like, the film would have been interesting regardless, because they had the interesting new characters. It was a good setup. It was like the perfect time for it. Like, they didn't need to add the extra like Billy's daughter thing. It felt very cheap. It felt very just unoriginal, uninspired, really.
I've seen some people talk about and argue that like everyone was waiting for like a cameo in it, whoever it was going to be, they were waiting for it. And like, to have obviously Skeet Ulrich in it, because he's dead, there's only so many ways that you can do it. And I thought the same thing until I found out there were multiple cameos that I just wasn't aware of. Like, I've only, like, I don't know how many you knew about, but I've only recently just found out who else was in it. Like, do you know? I'm curious to know, because I didn't notice when we were watching it.
Like who?
So I have got this from the internet, but I've seen it backed up by multiple sources. I'm gonna have to watch it again to find out. But Matthew Lillard and Drew Barrymore were both in it.
Where?
Voices. So apparently, and like, if I'm wrong, I really want people to tell me, because I don't want to go out telling people this. But apparently, so you know the scene where Richie is like watching the YouTube videos, and there's another Easter egg in there that everybody knows about. But when he's watching the YouTube videos, there's like a chrome ghost face, which was in the trailer as well. And he says something like, "It's lit," or "Let's get lit," or something stupid. Apparently that's Matthew Lillard's voice.
Cool.
And then also when they're in the house, somebody shouts, "Cool house, Freeman." That's him.
Oh, I love that.
And then Drew Barrymore was the principal making announcements when the camera's panning down, when you see the characters for the first time.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
I didn't realize that, and it didn't sound real, but like I've
Yeah.
looked at multiple sources of backing up. That's what it was. But I'd
They
have
must
to
have
see it
like
again.
slightly altered their voices, you know, for like voice acting effect. But that's a cool decision.
Maybe.
Otherwise, it would take you out of the film, wouldn't it?
To
I
have
love
too many
that.
familiar faces.
And then the Easter egg you were going to mention must be Kirby.
The Kirby one, yeah.
I loved that. That was really cool. I liked that.
I didn't notice that in the film though. I don't know if my review did. No.
No, that was cool.
That's
I
what
really liked
after-
that. Yeah, that she's alive. Yeah. I really as well liked that they brought Judy back real quick, and the note on the fridge that said like about the lemon squares.
Took me until she died to realize who she was. I literally also I'd seen Scream 4 like an hour like an hour before we went to see the fifth one. So I should have known, but I didn't.
Well,
she was like 11 years older, I guess.
Yeah. I really loved when all the kids were sat in the house talking about like who's gonna die. Like, first of all, I loved when they walked past all the photos of Randy, and then you see his sister, and they're like, "Oh, that's our uncle." That was sweet. But then when, and I feel so bad because I don't remember the character's name, don't remember the actor's name. All I'm gonna say is the kid from 13 Reasons Why. When he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die."
Don't remember the character's name.
No, I don't remember any character.
His name was Wes.
That's it. That's the one.
That's what I was gonna ask you as well after.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I literally characters' names gone.
Wow, fake fan.
When he was like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna die," and someone just piped up like, you're just the son of like a secondary character in like the sequel. I was like, and then and then it was like, oh yeah, of course he's Judy's son. That was great. I like that one because it was a less obvious relation, wasn't it, than say being like Randy's niece and nephew. I thought that was really cool. But
I can't believe you didn't remember his name, because like he's one of the only ones I remembered.
That was very
I didn't have to remind myself afterwards.
And then
they had the whole tribute like to Wes. And
that was very sweet.
Apparently, oh god, I can't remember her name, but the actress that plays Kirby.
Hayden
Panettiere, yeah.
That's it. She was in, again, apparently she was in the house scene when they were all toasting Wes, and they had like a load of the people that were there were like people that were really close to him. I think his wife might have been in the scene as well, and that's I just really thought, because I just thought that was a really nice way to do it. Because at first, obviously, when they had named him Wes, I was like, oh, that's why they've done it. But then they killed him off quite early, and I was like, oh, okay. But then obviously it was to do it to have the tribute in it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Really I was very surprised that he actually died. I thought he was going to end up being one of the Endgame characters, just because he's like a prominent actor, isn't he?
True, but then haven't they done that before in the franchise?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
notorious for doing it. So I think it's kind of cool that they actually went that way.
And more tributes and names as well, because the sisters, their surname was Carpenter, wasn't it? I like that. Yeah, that was pretty sick. And there was an Elm Street. About,
like the whole Wes thing though, like I couldn't get over the scene where he's walking through his house and he kept opening every door and the fridge, and it kept setting it up like there was going to be someone there, and I was like, for fuck's sake.
Do you know though, like that scene for me was just like, these filmmakers know what they're doing, like they're playing with the craft. And I don't know if you two like have seen Ready or Not at all. It's the directors, isn't it? And
you could tell.
Yes, like the whodunit aspect, they were like so good at fitting into that, and they made it really fun. And then just having like its own unique vibe to it, I felt this film had really well, and unique individual characters and stuff. It was just they were like the perfect choices to do this film, definitely.
See, the reason I knew, I mean, well, to be fair, I didn't know going in, but like when I found out, I was like, oh, obviously. The reason that I thought it was so obvious was because of the brutality. Like I remember when I watched Ready or Not, I don't know if you've seen it, Kerian, but it's, oh my god, it's so brutal. I didn't expect it to be like that.
Yeah, it's good.
I really like it as well. But yeah, the way that you could just tell from that aspect.
Like the not shying away from wounds, isn't it? Like like really close up of wounds,
like the arrow through the neck of the maid. Or
I
was like,
and when Wes got the knife through his neck and stuff, like don't get me wrong, there's gore in the previous Scream films, but not quite on that level.
Nothing like that. You think you're safe going into a Scream film. It was really weird because like we were sat in the cinema, there was only like 10 people in our screening for some reason, but we were like sat in the cinema and ready to watch it, and I thought to myself, I was like, whenever I go watch horror films, I'm ready to be scared, because even if it's not super scary, like because of like how big it is and the isolation, the fact that like no one's talking can make it a lot scarier. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh, it's a Scream film, it's fine, I'm safe. And then like it was brutal from the start, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was a great decision though to make the first scene so violent, so it's just like, boom, this is going to be different, you know, like do it from minute one, don't just do it from like the second or third kill. That like
really set up the theme of it really well. I think it's another reason why I did like the opening so much, like even taking away the fact that it was like meant to be a homage to like the first one. I thought it set up the theme of this film really well.
I did
like
too.
all aspects of it, character, technology, feeling, the gruesomeness that was going to be in it. I thought was really good.
Yeah, the tone, like the dialogue is quite different in this film, because you know it's a new generation. They really kind of got that right in a way. I felt the way they all talk to each other, and you know when she was like talking to Amber and she was on the phone, you could like feel that going into this film. It was, I also loved like Gen Z, wasn't it?
I loved how she googled the answer to one of the questions.
I really liked that. Yeah, that was cool. And not just that, but you know when she was getting stabbed, like the actual crawling and stuff, I was like, oh, that is hanging. But then that was similar to the first film as well, wasn't it? So that was good. I felt the scene in the hospital when she was in the wheelchair was probably my favorite scene when it comes to like scares. That was probably the one where I was just like couldn't look the entire time.
Very tense.
Did you guys have a favorite kill?
It's hard with this one because like because they're a bit more brutal, so I don't know what part of it I find favorite.
On like the note of like the gruesomeness, like I think it makes sense who the killers end up being as like these fans, and like I guess fans always want, like horror fans, they want like more blood and more kills, and they want it to be as in like stereotypically. So it kind of made sense that they were already like amping that up like from the first scene of like breaking her leg and like the knife through the neck, because I think the closest they got to that before, I can't remember her name, in Scream 4, the neighbor, and like she's like disemboweled.
That was pretty rough.
That's like the most gruesome. And I think there were some deleted scenes from Scream 4 where like they actually show the bodies of Marnie the Carney and whoever the other girl is, but they're a bit more gruesome as well, but this you actually see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well they're trying to comment on like new age horror, because you know in older horror, there's murders, but it's more about like the idea of the murder than what you necessarily like see on screen. So I think this one's like definitely getting it. We want to see the gore more now. So that worked pretty well.
What was your question in that, Kerian? Because I think you said you had a question, but we didn't get to the question bit.
I go on tangents and I just forget what I was going to say.
That's what this whole podcast is, so don't worry.
I think it was just if you agreed, or if you'd noticed that, or also like we said about people surviving, because just one stab wound or two stab wounds isn't necessarily going to kill you.
Yeah,
I think that also makes sense to who the killers are, because they've watched all these films where you stab someone once and they die, and they've obviously stabbed these people, they're killing these people, and they're like, okay, they're dead.
Yeah,
but it's like,
that's a good point.
I also I agree, and I was also thinking about this. Do you think that like with other films people try and guess which killer did which kill? Do you think that would be possible in this film? Like they were both as vicious as each other in the last scene. Do you think that there would be any distinguishment? Because like you say, like some people survived. Do you think maybe one of them was less brutal than the other and those were the characters that survived? Or do you think it's not that deep?
I'm not sure.
One of them's really short.
Well, yes, yeah.
So obviously it goes back.
That's a good point.
They did that with Scream 4 as well, really, didn't they? Like, I couldn't buy.
When you see her at the end, in it, and it's like she's just big.
Yeah. But I think I said this to Kieran whilst we were watching that I was like, it's not just Scream that does it. It's anything that kind of has like a masked killer that is then revealed just to be like your average Joe person. Yeah. Obviously, it's never the person who's actually in the costume throughout the film. And I wish just once they would do it that way, because I guess maybe you could guess things a bit more. Then that just means you need to up your ante, you need to make it less obvious, add that challenge for yourself.
Maybe something silly, like if she had had a big fucking box, or like if she had some big fucking shoes on or something, like
she poses up to gown and there's like 10 inches
stiletto heels.
Like if someone brought it up like you're too short, and then she like pulls up her foot and she's like showing
oh my god, right? Do you know what you say that though, just bringing up like the ridiculous thought of Ghostface running around wearing like heels? one thing I think I must have imagined is when like Ghostface was like in, I don't know, a bit better lighting or whatever during the daytime, the cape looked like it had glitter on it. Am I wrong?
To be fair, it's like a silly Halloween costume, really, isn't it? So
I know, but like, however, it looked better made than the rest of them, which I think was intentional. But I swear to God, it actually had glitter on it, and I need somebody to confirm that for me because Kerian didn't notice it, so I think I must have imagined it. I appreciate that kind of material can kind of like shimmer in the light just because of what it is, but even in scenes where it was a bit darker, it looked like it had glitter on it, and I was like, has someone
light more, wasn't it? Yeah, but
it just looked like someone had bedazzled Ghostface, and I was like, what is happening?
Like Euphoria Ghostface.
Well, I thought, I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, Euphoria and Riverdale have had way too much of an influence on this generation.
But you say about being able to see stuff in the daytime. What do you think of daytime kills? Like Judy.
I love them.
I love that.
It was cool, wasn't it? Yeah. I saw some people say they weren't such a fan because, you know, it's right in the open. But then that's what, I don't know about you two, that's what I like. Yeah. Like, I don't know, that worked for me really well. Like, I knew he was going to jump out at her, but did you guys expect that moment where he literally did just like right on the front lawn jump out from the bush?
I didn't, to be fair, no.
Did you not? I jumped out of my skin.
It was like an actual jump scare, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that
because it was like a well-earned one.
That you jumped at, Kerian? Because there is one bit you jumped at and it just made me laugh so much, but I can't remember which bit it was.
Because like, do you think she's going to get through the door and then he's going to be there, or like she's going to
get or like she's going to catch him being killed, or
because he never sees her dead body, and that's like the tension of that, and him going to open the door and then he doesn't. I thought he was going to survive, like when he goes to reach his little taser, because he seemed sensible. I feel like he should survive.
He was kind of like, it's a bit sad, but I guess because they wanted to add that whole toasting scene where they were like obviously celebrating Wes Craven, Wes was kind of destined to die because it was the only way they were going to be able to do that. So, because at first, like you said, I thought it was interesting as well that he died, because I thought the way he was stabbed in the neck, I was like, oh, at first my brain was like, you can survive that.
It was great.
And then it went on for so long. I was like,
it's just a very interesting casting choice, you know, because like you see him announced in the posters and trailer, you think, oh, like he'll probably be a main, but like you say, they've done that before,
which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
the way they did it.
But you two, but as soon as casting was announced, I could pretty much tell you what was going to happen in this film.
Well, I thought he was going to be one of the killers.
Did you?
Definitely when I found out he was going, obviously his name, I know it would. It probably wouldn't be great for him to be the killer, but also his mum being Judy. And she was like one of the only characters to come back, like from a character from a sequel to then come back. So I was like, it would make sense if she was a killer and if they had like it was a mother and son thing. So I was surprised when they died.
Yeah,
that's actually such a good point, because it would have been so interesting if, like you said, if he had been the killer and she had known, like she fucking adored him, so she would have done everything she could to protect him. I'm also a bit disappointed that there were only 2 killers.
Yeah, see, I actually said this to someone before the film. I said, I think they'll change the number. Like it'll either be just 1 this time, or it'll be.
I think because it has been just 1 before, I thought maybe there was going to be a 3rd killer. Like, you know, because I thought the reveal was so bad. Like, I was like, there was no shock. I think it was done a bit lazily. I didn't enjoy it. Even both of them getting revealed as the killers, I didn't think it was done very well. So then a part of me was like, maybe they've done it this way because there is a 3rd one. Like maybe somebody else is involved, and maybe it's somebody we know. You know, maybe
like
this
Gail
is how they're going to bring
on up, or Dewey
something like that. Yeah, I think even Kerian said it when after we'd watched it. Like, it would have been interesting if it could have been like Dewey or someone, but like, you saw that guy die. Oh boy, did you see him die?
And then like Ghostface wouldn't fake killing him off when another character
when no one else was there to witness it. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really curious though to see if like other people would turn up, because you know, Kincaid, the detective from Scream 3, loads of people think that Sydney is married to him, don't they, in this one?
Apparently it's been confirmed. Yeah, it's been confirmed that he is, but Neve Campbell's come out and said that she forgot who he was when people brought that up to her. I think that's so funny.
I thought it was a very cool idea though. Like sometimes you literally do just have to chuck a name into a sentence, and it's like, oh, that's really fun, like that reference. But I was really wondering if they would like maybe show a little bit of him, but they didn't. which
maybe
probably
they couldn't afford him. I don't know.
Oh, sometimes it is like, you know, less is more. I think this film was a really good example of that, because, you know, we said like, oh, the legacy characters weren't in it as much as, you know, you want to see them a lot. I think maybe less was more, because I think if they were in it too much, it would have just felt too much like a rehashing.
I mean, they were in it a lot more than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, me too.
I thought Sydney was barely going to be in it.
She really kind of was, to be honest with you. She was,
but I thought
in it from the beginning.
I thought that little phone call with her was going to be the only thing that we were going to see. You
didn't think she was going to come back?
No, I didn't, because I didn't really understand.
She was just going to stay the fuck away.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what point she was going to play in it, other than the point she's played in every other one. But I wasn't. But because it felt like they were really trying to set up a new generation of Scream. I thought maybe having her. I mean, it didn't in the end, but I thought maybe having her in it was gonna throw it off a bit, because obviously all the focus was going to be put on her again, and it did it in the end. Like they managed to like balance it quite well. But all of them were actually in it a lot more than I thought.
Especially Judy, considering she was just such a small character in 4, she was in it quite a lot.
True.
But I think it was like the perfect amount. They did it right. Couldn't have been any better. We said earlier about predictions. Did you predict the reason? This is something I meant to ask right at the beginning. No. I didn't know. What did you guys think it was going to be this time?
I didn't really know a motive, to be honest.
No,
I mean, Kerian, you said you were going to write down theories before we went and watched it. Did you?
No.
Did you not have any theories going in?
I thought Dude was definitely going to die. I thought one of the originals might have something to do with it, but then I just thought then they're not going to be able to carry it on if they do that. I don't think. No one's going to want to see more sequels. Yeah, and I thought Judy and Wes were a suspect.
I actually really like that whole idea of Judy and Wes being the killers. I like
now.
The
Wes idea,
I think that's so much better than what they actually did. So
I think could have made it like Wes. Like they could have made it like Wes had like orchestrated the whole thing, and he like made this film, and they could have made it meta in that way. But I don't know whether that would have crossed the line.
Yeah, considering the name, of course.
Yeah,
we're coming towards the end of this episode now, because we've been at this for a while. But on the concept of ideas and predictions, as Sky mentioned, there is probably going to be a 6th film. Let's be real, because this one did so well. Do you have any kind of ideas where you think they would take that?
I don't think it's going to be with any of the original. I think we've seen the last of the originals now. I think killing Dewey was like basically a way of saying, this is it, we're done.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'm not sure where they could go, because I'm not in the into the fandom enough yet to really have a prediction of where it could, but I do think it's going to be something completely different now than what we've seen before.
Yeah. What about you, Kieran?
I kind of disagree. I think they will be back, even if it's just the tiniest bit, just to kind of draw people in, to have them on the poster. Would you guys not think that this cast is gonna like stay the same, like the survivors?
No, I think this cast will.
These kids.
I think the cast will stay the same. I just don't think the OGs are going to be in it anymore.
I think the twins could have
a
bigger role in a 6th film. Definitely because Mindy was so like, she was like the Randy kind of in a way. She had all the knowledge, but I don't know whether they'd be killers or what.
I mean, they must have made a point to keep them around, and people really liked them. They've come out as like the standout characters of this one, I think.
Definitely, I think the brother Chad, I think they were a similar situation to what happened with Dewey, that the original script was written that they were going to die, but they really like, the actors and actors just brought them to life so much that they were like, actually we need to keep you around a bit longer. So that's why they had that little end bit of just confirming that they were both alive, which I really loved.
Because I think if it was any other character, you think, oh, that's cheap. But
but I loved it.
Lines, just a thumbs up, and everyone in the like my cinema was quite full, and everyone was like, everyone was loving,
because they were related to Randy as well, and everyone was so upset when Randy died. And I think it's on the record that Wes said he regrets killing off Randy in the 2nd film, because obviously he comes back in the 3rd one, and it doesn't really make sense why he's back in that video. But it's a throwback to that.
Yeah, of course. I guess it's nice as well. Yeah, it's like vindication for Randy in a way, isn't it? Like his successors get to go on. But I don't know for myself. I kind of agree with both of you in a way. I think the twins are definitely coming back. I think we're all in agreement for that. I think Sky, like you mentioned, that Sydney phone call, I think that's like the most they'll get out of her the next film, because she can't keep coming back. Yeah. And then I don't know. I literally couldn't say, because honestly, I don't think there needs to be enough one. Like, as far as like ending things goes, I'd be happy with it ending on this film, because I really liked it.
Yeah, maybe they'll just bring the TV show back instead.
Maybe I'll actually watch the TV show now.
I actually really liked it.
Is it good? I'm still not.
The first season is good. It's like cheese, but I liked it. I have like one final question. With the end, when we were talking about Sam like killing Richie at the end, and then obviously they did a fake out with Amber being on fire, and she's coming in and she's she gets shot by her sister.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that?
Hated.
Didn't like it.
No.
Just like you did like her coming back, or the way she ended?
Me? Yes, me.
Yeah, well, either one of you. Like, I'm just curious, because I didn't really have any thoughts.
I'm just asking you guys, when I was talking about like the mental health thing, and I didn't really like that she went ham on Richie at the end. I think it would have been better if she hadn't killed anyone, and if her sister had been the one, or either like Sydney had killed Richie, and then her sister had killed Amber when she came back into the room.
I guess it was meant to be like that whole thing again of, obviously, you know, in the original one, because Sydney killed Billy and all that, and like maybe it was meant to be that like, you know, I'm not saying it's a good thing, and you're probably right in the sense that it goes back to how things are being portrayed, but like, you know, she was a survivor, she did what she had to do. I guess killing somebody was a part of that. So I hadn't really thought about it, but I get what you mean.
It was a small thing.
Yeah. Well, just about like the to quickly say before we wrap this up, the on fire thing, I just immediately checked out at laughing, because
that was mental. I
like that.
You liked it? Oh, really?
I laughed when, like, I think Sydney like threw the hand, like she threw something at her and she was like, "Is that hand sanitizer?" Like, and then obviously she caught on fire. I just thought that was funny.
Was that meant to
I think
be
I laughed
that way
out loud
of
acknowledging
COVID?
I thought so at first.
I was like, okay, here we are. Why do people keep acting like this is over? Anyway, we're not going to talk about that, because we'll be here for another hour.
Another episode, COVID in horror.
Yeah. So I think we'll finish this one here. This has been great. I'm glad we all really kind of like liked it on the same level.
I'm happy we like on the same level, but for different reasons, and enjoyed and disliked different parts. That always makes the conversation like a million times more interesting.
Well, I think in conclusion, I guess I don't want them to carry it on. Oh, my ranking. Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, nobody gets this part of our episode, so nobody will hear this. But my ranking is 1, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, okay, Kerian.
But like, yeah.
Mine is 1, 4, 5, 3, 2. Yeah.
So yours are quite similar. Yeah. Oh no, they're the same. Yeah.
No.
I like 4 more than Sky.
Yeah.
I like 5 more than I like 4.
Yes, yeah. Okay, mine goes, I feel like you guys would hate me for this. 1, 2, 5, 3, 4. So we completely swapped them.
I get it. I mean, when we start recording, I'll have a go at you for it, but no, I'm joking.
Well, I mean, let's put it like this. At least we can all agree that the first one is the superior.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, because...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if someone doesn't have one at number 1, that's when you got a problem. So keep your eye out for that.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to have you here, Kerian. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Do you have any socials you want people to check out, or do you want to remain anonymous?
I have a blog, keriancrying.com.
There we
Instagram,
go. We'll link it.
Link it.
Yeah. We'll link it. We'll link it below. You can find Kerian.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right. Bye.